We'll get started in one moment, guys.
Yeah, you gotta turn that on.
Now they should be able to hear us. Can you guys hear me? Check, check.
Hello, hello.
If they see it in the chat, is there a chat in there? See if they're. Okay. Yes, I see people
Yes.
responding. Good, yay.
Yeah,
All right. Hey,
she said she can hear.
we made it work with the phone. How about that? Okay. He's on. I need to hit record. Here we go. Is it on? I think it is recording. Yeah, it's recording.
Mhm.
Yeah. This will be the funniest recording ever. Like the first 10 minutes. Yeah.
A little bit of carpet.
Yeah. All right. I think we're good.
All right.
We should be good now, right?
Yeah, let's make sure we put through real quick. Should be able to.
Yeah.
All right. Yay.
Thank you, Amy. You guys are-
So I do this to everyone.
Okay.
I gotta do it to you too.
Please.
Guys, this is an amazing Aubrey Bailey, the script king, right? He's in the house, also general manager of Georgia Legacy Group. He has personally flipped over 43 properties and more with your group and your team as well. So guys, he's bringing amazing resources to you guys, amazing knowledge and experience. And I hope you enjoy something.
Well, raise your hand if you have flipped the property before. Okay, all right. Raise your hand if you have a long-term rental, you have rental property. Okay, so we got a mixed group in here. So first off, I'm excited to be here. Like, this is a topic I'm really, really passionate about. You're going to leave today with a really clear understanding of a number of things. Would you like to see what they are?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So what we're going to cover today, understand the foreclosure process. A lot of people don't know the difference between a short sale, auction property, foreclosure, REO. Like, what does all that mean? We're going to talk about that. We're going to go through notice of default. We're going to talk about where do I find homes? Where can I find some potential investment properties? How about funding them? Where do I get the capital to fund them? How do I analyze the properties? And what are the 5 biggest mistakes that flippers make when they flip properties? We'll go through all those. And then we're also going to tie into your long-term wealth strategy. Because I would tell you, out of the 43 properties that I flipped, I wish I would have, the biggest mistake, one of them, I wish I would have kept more. I wish I would have kept more as long-term rentals. Like, my financial picture, it's awesome right now, don't get me wrong. But oh my goodness, it would have been a world of difference in net worth had I kept a lot more. Right?
They can't really hear you that loud. I think it might have to be where.
Because I'm over here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stand closer over here, and maybe this will work a little better. So
Sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. I'm not gonna move it closer to me, maybe. Okay, so first thing, there's 6 phases of the foreclosure process, and what I'm gonna do first is pave the foundation, and then we're gonna go into strategies on finding properties and analyzing properties. That makes sense? So we're gonna understand the process first, then we'll get into how to get the homes. So first one is payment default. Okay. So what happens? The borrower has missed at least one payment. The lender sends them a notice. Hey, you're 30 days late on your mortgage. Or they call them, please, we need you guys to get current on your payment. Okay. After 90 days of missed payments, so 3 months, the loan gets handed over to the lender's foreclosure department. It's usually called a loss mitigation department. Okay. The borrower is then informed that the notice will be recorded. The lender typically gives them another 90 days to get current on their payments. So you follow the process so far, they get 30 days behind, they get handed over to the loss mitigation department, right? At loss mitigation, after 90 days of missed payments, they get a letter. That's where the notice of default comes in. That's where you can actually search and you can see who's been given a notice of default. That is not the same thing as they say at every closing, if you miss your payments, you'll be advertised, for 4 consecutive weeks prior to the first Tuesday of every month. The attorney always says that like 90 miles an hour, like I just did.
Mhm.
That isn't happening yet. We're not at that point yet. Okay. This is just loss mitigation has it. Notice of default is given. Okay. Notice of upcoming foreclosure. If the loan is not made up, not made current, within 90 days following the notice of default, so now we're at a total of about 180 to 210 days. Then the bank notifies them that they're going to start the foreclosure proceedings. That's when it goes into the paper for 4 consecutive weeks prior to the first Tuesday of every month. So like that may have people 180 days ago are now at the point in February where every week, I can't remember what day it is, the paper comes out, it's getting advertised. They're the ones that will be unfortunately foreclosed on in March. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Foreclosure auction. This person owns the home. When someone buys a home, they own the home. The bank doesn't own it. The bank has a mortgage on it, and a security deed, a promissory note on that property. So this person still owns this home, and the bank doesn't get the home until it goes to auction. Now, somebody may bid on the property at the, let's say at the courthouse steps. If it makes it that far, they'll bid at the courthouse steps. Don't get fooled. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself by like the auction.com the auction.com starting bid price. That's a made up number. It's kind of like eBay has like $1 starting bid, but there's a reserve amount, and auction.com just doesn't tell you what your reserve account is. So like if you're at the courthouse steps bidding, you'll think you outbid everybody. They'll be like, $210,433 going once, going twice. Sorry, we have a reserve bid on behalf of the lender for $333,000. Everybody's like, oh, they don't tell you what it is. So don't pay attention to auction.com. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll talk about that later. But if it doesn't sell at the courthouse auction, let's say that person has used their home as a piggy bank and they pulled out and they owe more than what the home is worth. Okay, then at that point, if nobody bids on it because it doesn't make financial sense, it goes back to the lender. Like they'll say the starting bid is $348,243. Do I have any bidders? And nobody bids. They'll say, okay, going once, going twice, sold to the lender. And that's when it becomes a bank owned property. Do you know what REO stands for? Oh, it kind of says there.
Yeah, real estate owned.
Real estate owned. Why? What does that come? What isn't the bank in the business of? Giving what?
Loans.
They don't want houses. So real estate owned is on the balance sheet. It's actually a liability on their balance sheet. They don't want homes. They want loans. Make sense? So that's actually a line item. The term REO is real estate owned on their balance sheet as a liability. You guys follow that process?
Mhm.
That's the process of how home foreclosures and things work. Okay. There's many different, and then eviction. So if someone still lives in the home, what a lot of the nice lenders do is they'll do something called cash for keys. And how I kind of found out about this process was, 2000, probably 6 or 7, I got involved with a company. They weren't a bank, but they serviced loans. You can buy, you have to have a lot of capital, but you can buy loans that are in default. Remember we went to this section, the notice of default? There are lenders that will, not lenders, investors or loan servicers that will buy packages of properties. Like, hey, we have 200 properties in the Southeast region. They'll sell them for a discount off whatever the loan amount is. So let's say the house has a loan balance of $200,000. There are people out there that will buy the loans on them from this current servicer for a lot less than that. Why? Because some of them will get current. Some of the people will get current. Some won't, right? They'll go to courthouse auction and they'll end up with bank-owned properties. I was on the end where they would call me and they'd say, hey, we have 5 properties going to the courthouse steps in your area that you work in, that you specialize in. We have hundreds across the nation, but in your area, here's 5. Can you go do a drive-by, and just give me a ballpark idea of what it should be worth, assuming it needs some work? That's how I kind of first got in my understanding of how this process works. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Right? Okay. So once they got the property back, if the person didn't get current, then a lot of these banks will go and say, hey, I'm so sorry the home got foreclosed on. The people know about it, right? And they say, this lender is one of the nicer lenders. What they'd actually like to do is give you a couple $1,000s in exchange for a clean house and a set of keys. That'll help you get started on your next chapter. That was probably one of the most painful things I ever had to do, was go to somebody's doorstep that had been in that house for a while and have that conversation. Those are moments that I did not enjoy. So when I bought a lot of properties at the courthouse steps, I typically tried to avoid buying one with anybody in it, right? Because I didn't want to have to do that, I will tell you, most people in that scenario are actually pretty understanding. They knew, they're like, they're willing to pay us to leave. We haven't made payments in a year. They're willing to pay us. I'm like, yeah, they are, but you have to, make this transition by this date with a clean house, and you'll get this check. I actually go to bat for them. I say, you only ask for more, and the lender told me I could do that, so to work with them. So it worked out. But you understand that? That's kind of how we got here. That's how I started that process. And eventually I was like, well, I can go get properties. Why don't I buy some of these, for myself? They're good deals. So let's talk about what this looks like. So locate potential properties to flip. Here's where I started. The MLS, right? Now, is it difficult to find a good deal that has enough margin in it in the MLS to actually flip it and make a profit? Yes, absolutely it is. So then I went and I got absentee owners and equity owner lists. These are people that have a different tax billing address than the property address, and they have a lot of equity in it. So for example, I use this example a lot because it's literally like not even a mile that way, 220 Mansell Circle. If you guys Google it, you can look it up. I bought it for $115,000, sold it for $290,000. And it needed a lot of work. I had to gut the house. I mean, down to almost the studs, open up the floor plan, but still made a great profit in a short period of time. And it was from, I think it was Betty. It's been a few years, but I sent letters out, to absentee owners saying, I'll buy your home with cash. I can close within 30 days. You don't have to fix anything. You can leave it as is. Give me a call if you're interested. And she called. I went to her house. I was like, I think her name was Betty. It's been a few years. I bought a lot of these, but I said, look, I have to be completely upfront with you. If you put some money in this house, I know it's been a rental for 30 years and the dogs ate everything in it and everything needs to be replaced. But if we just put some money in this and get it presentable, you can get substantially more money. I'll list the property for you. I'll even oversee, getting some people out here to make it look a little better to get it sold. And she's like, Aubrey, I don't want to deal with it. She's like, I just want to sell it. If you can give me cash and close in a few weeks, I'm good. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm going to fix it up and resell it. She's like, that's okay. So I want to be open with people, and I always was about what I was. And sometimes they would say, sure, if you want to, we'll list it. If you'll help us oversee the remodel, great, good for me, good for you. Now you get a listing. It's like either way you win. You see what I mean? Okay. So absentee owners, equity owners, notice of default. You can actually buy those lists. This isn't the foreclosure list yet. Remember, they're not going to the courthouse steps yet. They're just more than 90 days past due on their mortgage. Okay. You have to be really careful and very tactful on how you touch base with these people. I'll give you some examples. Courthouse steps. Then it goes to the courthouse steps. That's another place you can buy them. And then of course, Banco. If somebody doesn't buy them at the courthouse steps, there's the other place you can get them. This is not the all-encompassing list of where to find flips. It's just where I chose to focus and where you can find some good transactions. And that's plenty enough sources to find some good transactions. You guys follow that? So we're going to dig into each of these. I'm going to show you each of them, where to go, how to use the systems and how to analyze the properties. Everybody understand that so far?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right. So let's go with finding homes in FMLS. Again, difficult right now. And I would not get your hopes up on finding good ones. However, if I was looking for some, here's how I do it. Okay. I will go into FMLS. And if you look at the bottom, you see where it says add or remove fields? You guys see that down there? Where it says add or remove fields? Go down here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but add or remove fields, click there, and then type in the word days on market. When you type in days on market, it'll pop up down here. You click add, and it'll put it over on the side for days on market. Then you click this back button. And when you go back to the search field, now it's at the bottom. Days on market. And I put in 90 plus. That means it's been on the market for more than 90 days. Why would I do that?
They might be desperate to sell.
Yeah, they might be. A certain percentage of them may really need to sell. They're frustrated their home hasn't sold yet. They might be willing to bring their price down to something that makes sense. However, the other portion of people whose homes haven't had sold yet aren't really motivated. They're just overpriced. That's why they haven't sold. You see what I mean? So you got to find the motivated. Again, this is not really where I'd start right now. So we have enough inventory. This worked better when we had 6 months of inventory. Here's what I would look for. If I was in the MLS, here's what I would do. I would look for 2-bedroom, the single story brick ranches. I would look for 2-bedroom, 1-bath that I could easily pull out the back and put a master suite on and make it a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Do you see what I mean? Because most people buying detached residences don't want 2-bedroom, 1-baths. But if you can add on to the back of it and turn it into a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, that could be a potential good opportunity for you if the numbers make sense. Okay. You guys good there? I don't want to spend too much time because it's going to be very difficult to find one that makes sense in FMLS. Okay. You guys with me so far? Tell me if I go too fast and I'll slow down. Okay. All right. You wouldn't think a lot of them would show up, but there's a lot. There's 145. I think this is just Roswell and Cumming. I think I might have plugged in Alpharetta. There are 145 right now that are more than 90 days on the market. Literally pulled this up yesterday, I'll tell you something else I saw in here, and I'm not going to call anybody out, but I saw the same name in a few listing agents. I'm like, that person needs to learn how to list properties correctly and price them right. They didn't come to our class this morning.
Mark Faint.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it might have been on there, but there's a few. But, all right. Okay. Absentee owners and equity lists. This is where I actually got really good results from it. It worked in FMLS for a while until it didn't. Everybody was fishing in that pond, right? So I started sending these out. People still get letters, a lot of them. Here's what would happen. I would send out literally 1,000 letters a month. Okay. And it cost me about $1.30, $1.40 per letter mailed. I didn't do it. Another company did it for me. I'll give you their name and number or name, and you have to look up their number. I don't have their number anymore, but you can look it up. They would send the letters for me. And what was interesting is I get calls from people that say, oh yeah, I've been getting your letters for months. I'm like, too. I didn't say that, but you know, but it's like you have to catch them right when they're ready to have a conversation. Then you think it's the same person. It's just you have to be consistent. These are the numbers. Every 1,000 letters I sent, I got one transaction from. And if the average profit per flip was, let's say, $35,000, $40,000, that's a pretty good return on investment. Cost me, you know, a little over 1,000, and I get back 40. You know, that's a good deal. What else do I want to tell you on that? Oh, New Refined Images. That's the name of the company. New Refined Images. Just Google it. And Jerry Puckett, Puckett, Jerry Puckett. They still work today. What's that?
New Refined.
New Refined Images. Brett Tanner, KW Wealth. I was in Austin probably 2 months ago. He has that workshop they do for KW Wealth. He sends out a lot more than I did, like 10,000 a month, 5,000 a month, a lot of letters. They still work. The results aren't one for every 1,000. It's about half that. It says taking about 2,000 to get one transaction. But, okay, so you spend 2,000 and you make even 25 or 35 or 40 grand. That's a good return, right? It's just being consistent. If you send out 200, you may get lucky, you know what I mean, and hit that one person, but the odds are way lower. You have to have a big pool to hit to get that. Does that make sense?
One opportunity for 2,000 maybe.
That's what's happening right now. Mhm.
And if you put that to your database.
Not to the database. It's to the
I
list.
know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to.
Oh yeah,
If
yeah.
you do that to your database, you get.
If you do that to your database, the mailers, I think you're trying to, is the question you're asking like 36 touch? How's it work out? So your return, it used to be every 6 people will be one transaction, right? However, because of all the disintermediaries in the market, like Zillow, that are getting in front of our clients before we do and clicking here or swiping here, right? We're losing our effectiveness. So in MREA2, it's 10 to 1. So in the 201 club, you do a 36 touch, you really should get 20 transactions if you do it the right way. And 20 transactions at our average commission of $14,000 is $280,000. So it's not 119 like in our area, it's 280,000. You see what I mean? So, but that probably answers your question. Yeah. Okay. So absentee and equity. Here's where you can get them. Go to listsource.com. Screenshot I took literally yesterday. Listsource.com. Set work on the thing. On this side over here, where it says quick lead list, you can click more quick lists right here, and it gives you all the lists that they have. Okay. And when you click into it, this is an example, absentee owners. So what does this list cost? Pennies per, it gives you name and address. Doesn't give you phone number, just gives you name and address. These are the people that don't have a different, they have a different tax billing address than their home address, right? And or they got equity in their house. They'll give you that list. That company, New Refined Images, they create the letters for, they get the list for you, they create the letters for you, they mail the letters for you. They give you a sheet, an Excel sheet, and whenever somebody responds, hey, take me off your list, or hey, I want to talk to you, right? You just sort the list, you just copy and paste them in the right tab at the bottom. And then if the next month, they send the next batch of letters for you. And whoever you left on the list that hasn't responded yet, they get the next letter, you know? And then the next month, people respond, hey, take me off your list, or hey, I'm interested. You move those to a different tab. Whoever's remaining on that list, they send the next batch on month 3. You see what I mean? Or week 3 or whatever cadence you set up. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Listsource.com, is that a paid site?
It is. So it costs you, you know, if you needed 2,000 names, it might cost you $200. You know, it's pennies on per name, you know, is what it gives you. Yeah, good question. Okay. All right, so this is the equity owner. So it gives 2 lists, absentee owners or equity owners. You'll usually pull both and put them together for you. So and again, it's going to have to be volume in order to actually get responses. Okay. All right. So now you have a list of hundreds of names and addresses. What do I do with it? Right. So do a number of things. One is the letter. One is absolutely the letter. Another one, if you just want to get out there and just get an understanding, drive around, go look at some of the properties, you know, see if it's something you might, if you see grass this high, right, and siding falling off the house, and it's somebody that doesn't live there anymore, they probably will be interested in selling the home. But if it's a well-manicured lawn and maybe some tenants are there taking good care of it, they may not want to. You never, but it wants. I mean, so it doesn't hurt to drive around. It's called driving for dollars. You're driving around, but you know where to drive to. You know, you have that list. Make sense? Okay. Okay. These are examples of the letters. These are literally what I sent. I actually bought, that was one of the ones I bought, 217 Forest Way. That was one of the ones I bought. I can't find more of the letters either. Anyway, that was a couple of them. There's a couple keys on here, and one of them is he messed up on the first letter. You know you're supposed to disclose that you're an agent, right? Here's how you can do that tactfully. I should mention that while I'm a licensed agent, I'm looking to buy for myself, not list. And that was the reality. I would go there and say, hey, yeah, absolutely, I can close quickly, you know, if you want to. Or I have to at least mention, you get a little money if you get a lot more money if you put a little bit into it. And then it's their choice. But my main goal is for me to buy. You see what I mean? Okay. I gave Raven access to this. I shared this with her. So she should be able to download a PDF and send it out. Okay. So ask her, we're gonna step out here to do that. Feel free to take pictures, you can, but I'll also ask her to send that out. Okay. Sure. But it just basically says, you know, I'm wondering about your home. I'll buy it as is. I can close in a couple, you know, if you're interested. And the outside of the envelope, it looks like it looks like this. You guys see how that looks handwritten? I didn't write that. They did. And the outside of the envelope is that exact same font where it looks handwritten, kind of sloppy like that, but it looks handwritten. And the more handwritten it looks, the more likely it is to get, you know, it to get open.
Yeah.
You know, so especially if you're doing a lot of volume.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So you decide which area you want to send the letter?
Yes.
You tell so you do all your research before you go to text them.
I pick an comfortable in. I started off when I was flipping, I'd have ones, I mean, out in like all over. I'd be driving for hours. Dallas, I had a number of them in Dallas, Georgia. I had some, you know, up in Cumming. I had them all over. I got to a point later on where I didn't want to waste all that time driving. Because to do a lot of properties, like I was delivering materials, on progress, on contracts. And it's like if one is on this side of the town, it's gonna take me a half to get to the other one. And then that one calls me back and needs me back at the property. Okay, I need to keep them closer, you know? So it was too much.
Which one is your favorite area?
On every single month, if I was gonna get them at the courthouse steps, I'd actually pull a list of what's going to the steps. And I'd narrow it down to which one has the best opportunity for me to get the best deals. So I'd actually spend time analyzing each county. We'll get into that in a second. I'll show you how to do that. I'd analyze each county. I usually end up going either to Fulton, you know, I buy stuff in North Fulton. I'd do Forsyth, like Cumming right up there, or Cobb or Cherokee. So in one of those, or one of those, I guess. I tried to keep them on this side of the, you know what I mean? I was somewhat particular on where I wanted to go. If that helps. So that's the letters. That's one way you could touch base with them. You could drive by, would be another way, you know. Good door. You could use an app like Warn that you can have on your phone. Look up. Or if you have their name and address, you can look up their phone number. So, okay. Notice of default lists. Same place. This is another place you can get them. Notice of default. The other ones were absentee and equity owners. This is notice of defaults. So the people that are more than 90 days past due, they're getting a letter from their lender saying you're past due, you need to get current, or it's going to go to foreclosure. Okay. This is an explanation of what it is. And what would be a tactful way? What would not be a tactful way to reach out to them?
I see you owe money in your house.
Yeah, knock, knock, knock. Hey, you're getting foreclosed. You know, you want to sell your house? Like, do not do that. Oh my goodness. What would be a tactful way to come from contribution without being attached to the end result that you could actually do that would actually draw them towards you rather than push them away? These are calls from debt every day. They're not paying their mortgage, they're about to lose their house. Is it possible they're also probably not paying other bills as well? Markia.
That's not.
Yeah, could any reason you have for to touch base with somebody to give value? I mean, that could work. Homestead, where a lot of people haven't filed for homestead exemption. She's just like, how can I start the conversation? You know. Yeah, go ahead.
It almost to physical.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. Yeah.
So no, if you're only on say that, I see that are you still interested in selling your house on 123 Main Street or whatever? Kind of going to them and say, hey, I work with a lot of clients in this area. Are you interested in selling? I mean, they don't know, you know, this information, but you're
Right.
asking them, are they interested in selling?
Yeah, good.
Instead of, you're not
Yeah.
gonna tell them instead somebody take.
Right. You don't need to say I saw you on that side and I know you're about to get for, like, don't do that. You know, that will work too. Yeah, what else? Step it up a notch. What would be a way you really could come from contribution to help them without being attached to whether or not you get the property?
Like, I want to help you. Like, how is Like, how is it that we can make this a win-win?
Yeah.
You know, either
Yeah.
help you sell or like I can buy it from you, but.
Yeah.
It's, you know, just be there to help.
I've
Yeah.
had, I've done all these, different things, just trying what works, and what I found what really liked is I would reach out to them typically with like a handwritten note or something like that. I would send it to them and I'd say a lot of people recently found themselves in a tough situation. A lot of people lost jobs or whatever reason weren't able to make their payment. And I want you to know you have options. You don't have to just sit back and wait for someone to foreclose. And I'd be more than happy to help you those options. One of them, and I would get nothing from doing this, I'm just happy to do it, is help you with a loan modification. This is where you reach out to your lender and see if you can work through their loss mitigation department to see if they'll actually modify your loan. You know, and they will do that. Sometimes they'll do that. So loss mitigation department to do a loan modification. A second one is if you have an equity in the home, you absolutely could sell it. You know, absolutely could be an option. You know, a third one is if you needed to get into rental, now might be a good time to do it before your credit. You know, so you have some options. You have 3 ways you could approach this. I'm here to help you in any of those. I won't get anything for doing except for the peace of mind knowing I help somebody else.
What was the second, the loan modification?
Loan modification, they could sell a home if they have equity, right? And a lot of people have equity right now. They might have lost their jobs, but they have equity, which I'll show you in a second. A couple, they're going to foreclosure in a few weeks, right? That I pulled up yesterday. And the third one is find something to rent. You know, if they don't have equity in it and it's just gonna go to the courthouse steps, at that point, if they said that, then you can say, I would be interested in potentially buying it. You know, I just want to let you know that's not the main reason I'm coming to you today. I'm going to give you options. One of them is I could buy it, you know? Yeah, you don't want to seem like a vulture. You know what I mean? I want somebody saying, I'm so glad I met that person, they helped me, you know? Even if I bought the home, it'd be like them saying thank you. So how can you create that? It's like, here are your options. I'm here to help you on any of them. Which one do you want? You know, and letting them with dignity and pride make the choice. Make sense?
Yes.
So a lot of people don't know their options. And that's
No, they
the thing.
don't,
Yeah, they're just
unfortunately.
like, oh, the bank, okay,
Yeah.
they can take it.
They throw their hands up.
Well,
That's
they're
exactly what it is.
overwhelmed.
They're overwhelmed.
They're just paralyzed.
Right.
They just,
That's it. That's it. One of the ways I found out how much this means to people is we don't have them right now, you know, because there aren't short sales right now because most everybody has equity in their home. But I'm telling you, like, you hand somebody the keys to their first home, they'll give you tears of joy. You help somebody avoid foreclosure, you know, a short sale or whatever else, they will hug you with even more tears of joy, you know. And I helped a lot of people in the downturn do short sales, and they were a pain, especially before the attorneys started doing it for the agents, where the agents had to make the calls and turn in the documents. It was a lot of work for a very small check, but I'll tell you that they were your cheerleaders for years. Yeah, Corey.
So I got in touch with an investor who he purchased a lot of homes. Where he identified the people who were going through foreclosure and he helped stay in the home.
Yeah.
And they, you know, it's tenant occupied, you know, it's easy.
Right.
So that you work with, they interested in, you know, an opportunity, they would have somebody who's already qualified, who's already, well, you gotta make sure that they're obviously gonna pay the rent.
That's the challenge.
But
Yeah.
if they could get them to a point and
Right.
work out some kind of agreement. you
Right.
might be-
Yeah, I've seen some investors do that. You gotta be careful because they got there for a reason for not making payments. So it might be one of those, some people get so far behind, like, I just don't care anymore. But if the right investor came in and said, well, if you can give me X amount as a non-refundable, you know, deposit, you know, then I'll let her stay in the home. You know, I can see that. Just be careful with that. But yeah, I can see that working. Okay, so again, be helpful. Even if there's no immediate profit in it. Said that before, be helpful. Even if there's no immediate profit in it, come from contribution, help them. Help support, advice and guidance. I think that's a great way to look at this. Be it a phone call, a letter, or in person. Okay, you do all of those. Okay. All right, house flipping fundamentals. Courthouse steps auction. What is it? How does it really work? What should I expect? Where do I find the properties? What are the risks? And can I finance them? Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this very well. That's what it looks like on the courthouse steps. If you go there,
really on.
it is.
It's literally.
Here's the interesting thing. Are people walking in and out of the courthouse steps all the time?
Yes.
So it's so weird because like you'll be standing on the courthouse steps kind of waiting, and there'll be somebody walking up. You think they're just going in, and they'll turn around and be like, second district, 14th section, where the property is located at 123. You're like, whoa, is that you calling a property?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like ants all going to a piece of food. You know what I mean? Exactly, and there might be 3 or 4 different people crying properties at a time, right? So now, go back a few years, auction.com came in, and what they did is these lenders will have loans that are in default, right? And they hire an attorney to help them with the foreclosure process. Auction.com came in and said, look, you attorneys that are doing this, you're not doing it the right way. Like there's a better way to do this. And so auction.com gets probably half of the properties that they're going to get cried out. They have relationships with the attorneys and they say, look, we'll do the courthouse auction for you. That's these guys, right? So when you walk up to the courthouse steps, they'll have tents set up and you want to get there probably an hour early. They'll always from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day. By 10:30. No. So, but you never know when they're going to come because some criers will go to Cherokee in the morning, Forsyth County in the afternoon, Fulton County, in the late afternoon. So you actually do need to stay there, just until they're looking for cried out. Make sense? So auction.com, you show up in the morning and you register. Like you should give your ID. They give you a list of all the properties that are going to be crying out. They'll tell you what the starting bid price is. Throw that out the window because that's irrelevant. I'll tell you what the reserve price is typically. Make sense? But you at least have a list. Actually have a little phone with a microphone, and they have a list of what properties they're crying out. So they actually do it the right way. First, while they're doing that, there's other attorneys that kind of walk up and just turn around and start calling them out. And a lot of them are not nice. Like you'll be like, well, what property? And they just won't even stop. Some of them I've noticed on the back of the clipboard, while they're talking, they'll lift up the clipboard and they'll say the properties they're crying out. You're like, oh, okay. We get to like peek over their shoulder. I'm like, oh, okay, it's that one. It's a riot. Like it's a hot mess. It needs to be done better.
And it's on the second Tuesday of the
First
month?
Tuesday of every county. First Tuesday of every month in every county, starting at 10 a.m. You'll hear them doing things earlier at 9 a.m. It's either 8 or 9 a.m. That's the tax sales. People that got behind on their taxes. The problem with doing the tax sales is that person has a 1-year period to redeem their house. So just because you got the property because of the taxes doesn't mean you're actually going to get the property. They have to pay you back with interest, but that's all.
Unless it's a mobile home.
Unless it's something like that. Sure. Yeah. Okay. So what is it? We said, how does it really work? We went through some of that. What should I expect? It's a hot mess. Where do I find the property? We're about to jump into that. What are the risks? We're about to jump into that. And can I finance them? The quick answer is no. At the courthouse steps, you cannot get a loan. You cannot apply for a loan. You're not having a closing. Like you're getting it then. So you have to do title work on your own ahead of time and make sure that I saw a scenario where somebody bought property. They didn't realize it was the second mortgage that was calling the auction, and the first mortgage was still in primary position. So they thought they got a property, $300,000 property for like 30, 50 grand or whatever. They didn't. They 70 grand balance, got it for 30 grand, but they also had to pay off the $330,000 primary mortgage. So it's like at the courthouse steps is really risky. That is not the first place I would go to get your feet wet. What I would recommend is going there just to see how it goes.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, do you recommend like just
Yes.
going and kind of overseeing?
Oh yeah. Like act as if you were going to bid on the properties. Do the research ahead of time. Do it the first Tuesday next month. Research. I'll show you how to find a few properties that are about to be cried out. Go to there and as if you're going to buy and see what happens. Be like, okay, the max I was going to pay was going to be this. Let's see what happens.
Right.
And in your mind, when they're bidding, you're kind of bidding in your head, and you're seeing, well, what happens, right? And then you'll know whether or not it'll work out. Make sense? Yeah, absolutely do that. What are the risks? I just gave you a really big one. Not everything necessarily gets cleared out. There could be clouds on the title. Like you've got to do your homework on this ahead of time. I used to pay a law firm that had an internal title department to do my title search for me. And they would charge me like $50 a property or whatever to do a relatively light title search, but enough where I would know if something's wrong. I just had created our company, so we might do that literally right back up. Like, well, what's some real cost of doing light title? Maybe we can help some agents do this, That'd be a good thought. But don't go not doing your homework. You are setting yourself up for financial disaster. How could you get the funding for this? I'll tell you what I did on a few of them is I had at one point 3 or 4 going at once. And every now and then I come across a deal where I wanted to buy another one, but I didn't have enough cash left over to do it. So I had an attorney, I paid them $2,000 to draft a promissory note and security deed. And I went to a past client who was a heart surgeon And I said, hey, Madell, I was like, every now and then I'm gonna come across some really good deals on properties that I may not be able to purchase. I'm not looking to have another cook in the kitchen. However, I'm happy to give you a great return on your money. And what I would do is I want to protect you. I would make you, these are properties I'm getting at a big discount. I'd make you the primary lien holder, the only lien holder on the property that would have a lot of equity in it. And I'll pay you 10% interest when we close. Don't make payments. I'll tell you a huge mistake I made later, tell you my story on that part, right? Make payments, set it up where you're paying them when you sell it. And he was good with that. He's like, that's a better return than I can get anywhere else. And it's a solid deal. He's like, with the stocks, it could be worth nothing. But if this house, if you didn't pay me within the time frame of the note, I just get the property and it's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars more than what you bought it for, you know, or a lot more. Does that make sense? Okay, but you got it. There's some, if you go that path, come talk to me and I'll make sure you're disclosing stuff the right way because you get yourself in trouble if you don't. Okay. That'd be the only way you can really finance it, you know, the courthouse does. Okay. All right. So let's jump into what this looks like. Where do I find them? There's a few different places you can go. Some are free, some are paid. I'll show you both. Okay. And this is the one people get excited about, you know. Honestly, the letters with the absentee owners and equity owners give you a lower risk threshold. You actually have you can actually do an inspection. You actually can get, you know, a normal closing where full title work's done and know that you can get title insurance. You know, everything's okay. Courthouse steps, a lot more risk, but this is the one everybody wants to hear about. So I'll go into detail on it. Fair enough?
Yeah.
So where do I find Georgia Public Notice? It's free. Every single property in Georgia, you go into the courthouse steps is listed here. It's free. Okay. You can also go to equitydepot.net. That's a paid one. It gives you so many tools and will save you hours of work. I wish that was out when I was doing this in full swing. That's a great website. It analyzes them, tells you what the approximate loan balance is. It gives you all kinds of information, saves you so much time. The cost is like, I'll show you in a second, like 50, 60 bucks a month per county, you know, or you get all counties for a flat fee, you know. But I always use Georgia Public Notice. It just took a long time. Okay.
Because that one doesn't.
Well, you have to go through each property individually and do all the work yourself. Where this one, Equity Depot, I'll show you in a second. You'll see what I mean. I'll show you some screenshots in a second. Auction.com is free. And probably half the properties that are going to the courthouse steps will be on auction.com. One cool thing about them, you can actually click and get title done. Like $25 actually a pop is what they charge for title work. I haven't asked a title person what kind of quality title you're getting them. If they're actually checking everything, I will, you know, because I don't want anybody to find out that they owe a lot more money than what the house is worth. Verified Alert app. This is another, I have this app on my phone. I guess they're kind of like auction.com, but a little different. Like you're at the courthouse steps, you can go on this app and you can actually put in proof of funds ahead of time and you can bid on your app, you know, but I was always at the courthouse steps and it would tell you which property is coming up next and when they're crying it. So you'd actually know if that person's walking up. It would, if I remember correctly, it would say the person's name and who it was. I was crying it out. So, yeah, and I got, yeah, because they did, because I used to write down, if you go every month, you'll see the same people that are crying them out. So I'd be like, oh, Mike, he's the guy with the black hair, you know, he looks like he's Italian, you know, so I'd write that down, Mike, black hair, Italian, you know, that way I know who to look for when they're coming up. Does that make sense? Okay. The actual attorney's websites. I'll show you in just a second where you can find out, like, who is the attorney that has these properties that's going through the foreclosure process for the lender. Okay. So this is Equity Depot. So you can go in here and you can buy an area. I know you guys can't see this, but this is what it does. It gives you a list of all of the properties. It gives you who owns it. It gives you the estimated value of the property. It gives you the estimated equity of the property. It gives you the loan amount date. It gives you the type of loan that they got. Was it an ARM? Or is it a conventional 30-year fixed, right? It tells you who the lender is on these. And it tells you some foreclosure history in the property. That right there will save you hours. But in the front end, don't go spending a lot of money yet. Like, do the free stuff first. Maybe get a property or two, and then maybe invest if you feel like doing this. Make sense? It gives you a calculator. It has a property profit calculator. Calculate in, and these are the costs. So it's like Atlanta Metros. The plus is $69 to $99 a month. If you just wanted the Northeast, it's $49. Most of them are $49 or less a month. They just wanted the basic. Does that make sense? I don't know this company. I just know of them. I know people that use them, and it's a great resource, you know, to save you time if it's worth. Okay, all right, the free one. I like the free one. Let's talk about the free one. Okay. So you go to georgiapublicnotice.com, and what you have to type in here is first Tuesday, March 2023, because it's going to give you what properties be cried out first Tuesday in March of 2023. So first in March 23. Okay, type that in. Here you select the county. So you just click the little plus box, it gives you a drop down. You say, oh, let's go with. For this example, I picked Forsyth County. Okay, so and then it makes you make sure you're not a robot, right? So it's one of those ones you have to click the boxes with street lights, you know, and then it spits out this list. So let's click on the second one and let's see what it looks like. Okay, and this literally is a copy and paste from what's in the actual paper. So what you're looking for in all of this property, the mortgage was January 24th, 2005. They financed $126,750. It's going to be auctioned off on the first Tuesday of March, which is in a few weeks here. And this is the address, 1318 Pilgrim Lake Drive in Cumming, Georgia. The attorney that's doing it is Logs Legal Group, LLP. Okay, guess what? That's the key information that you need. Okay, come back to this later, but it's hard if you just look at it. It's like, oh, that's a lot of letters and numbers. That's the key pieces you're looking for. Okay, you guys follow that so far? Okay, now we want to know is, well, what's it going to be? The starting bid going to be at? What's the property worth? So, okay, let's move on. So if you notice, it said Logs Legal Group. So just type in Logs Legal Group LLC foreclosures. Right? Then it brings you to this site, Logs Legal Group Network. We provide information, blah, blah, on foreclosures. Agree. Okay, agree. It says Forsyth, 13 Pilgrim Lake Drive, Cumming, Georgia, auction.com. That's who's going to be calling it out. But not all of them are auction.com. Some are, I don't know, how do you say that? XOME, is that home or zone? I don't know. Home. Service Link Auction. It has different people that do it, and each of them are going to, if it says none, that means they're the ones calling it out. They'll be the ones there. They'll have a representative there. Otherwise, they have somebody else doing it. So these are actually more sites you could go to, like xome.com will be another one to look at. I don't know what CODIUS is, CODIUS. Again, this will be sent out, but that would be another place to look. Okay, but stick with me. This is who the foreclosure attorney is. They're saying go to auction.com. Okay, I'll go to auction.com. Okay, let's go to auction.com. There's the property. Okay, 1318 Pilgrim Lake Drive. It's a townhouse. Okay, now auction.com says estimated resale value 357. Their job is to try to pump up, like eBay, to pump things up as high as they possibly can. That's when they do a starting bid price of $1. You're like, wow, you get a house for $1, we can't. You know, 357 is what they said it'll be worth.
Can anyone hear me? Hello, hello. Well, Raven heard. We can't see anything. We can't hear anything.
Hey guys, Raven just texted me back. They lost Wi-Fi connection in the building.
Oh, bummer. Thank you.
I don't know if they're trying to reset it, so I don't know if it's gonna just pop back on or not, but it's currently out.
Okay. Bummer.
Yep.
Thanks for the update.
Absolutely.